Alberta, Canada is apparently the largest inhabited area on Earth without rats. First question, what are they doing right? Follow-up, does hearing that make you want to drive there in the middle of the night and shake out a duffel full of rats? A little bit. Now, I am very excited to bring out our next... Oh, we have to do some... Did that seem fake to you? Oh, sorry, before our next guest, this will just take a second. We have a little bit of housekeeping we have to do. This episode of Love It or Leave It is brought to you by the Society for the Preservation of Rodents. Rats are the lifeblood of New York City, the filthy glue that binds these 5 boroughs. Scrappy, resourceful, and fast-walking, rats are the ultimate New Yorkers, each one a tiny naked Carrie Bradshaw that lives in the sewers, trying to find love and sustenance behind one of the last 3 blimpies. What would the rat race be without literal rats? What would New York's famous bagels be without the tap water rats take little sips of on its way to you? Giving it that special quality. If you didn't love rats, why would you, in this world city, in the year 2023, just put all your garbage out on the sidewalk in piles? It's not like you don't know about other ways to collect garbage. On Roosevelt Island, thump, they suck it down. A little network of tubes. Rats hate this one weird trick. But no, you provide rats with an almost daily feast because rats challenge you. Rats remind you that you are not all-powerful. You are not gods. We're all here together, scurrying around a maze that wants us dead. And when you see a garbage bag on the sidewalk pulsing with a bacchanalian orgy of hungry, horny rats, you know that you're in the greatest city in the world. That is why Love It or Leave It is a proud supporter of the rat community, and why I, Jon Lovett, am making a solemn promise to you now to never say a critical word about rats on this show. Rats, why not give one a little kiss on the head today? Wow, powerful stuff. Anyway, back to the show. Coming up next, oh no. This timing could not be worse. Please welcome to the stage New York City's own Rat Czar, Kathleen Corradi. How are you? Thanks for being here.
Very nice. Nice to meet you, John.
How are you doing?
Great. Better than New York City rats.
Wow, you're coming in hot. First question. Did you know that rats love being tickled on their little bellies? And according to Scientific American, giggle in a frequency too high for humans to hear, and we actually have audio of that giggle pitched down for our ears. Can we roll the clip? Adorable, right?
The rats we're seeing here are bred for scientific purposes, so they have a different demeanor than our New York City wild rats. But yes, I think there's a likability to the clip you shared.
We got her. This is going to be the second hardest interview I do in the past 24 hours. He almost kills you. He tries to overthrow the government.
Of course, I didn't know at the time that he had tried to intentionally kill me.
What's a B?
Look, I was talking about policies. If you get the whole context of that answer, which you didn't, we were talking about the policies.
So you were a teacher, and now you're a czar. How did you get to where you are today?
A winding road, but with a path that links people and the cities they're living in. So I was an elementary school teacher in central Brooklyn. And from there, I went on to work at the Department of Education in the Office of Sustainability, where I dealt with Rat's favorite object, which is waste. So I spent a number of years looking at school waste, and that led me to rats.
But I'm sorry to push back. That's not exactly true, because you and rats have a longer history than that, don't you? And I actually find this chilling to the core. Is it or is it not true that as a 10-year-old, you circulated an anti-rat petition in your neighborhood? You've hated rats from the time you were a child, like Kirk and the Klingons.
I lived on railroad tracks growing up in lovely Long Island, where I know you're from. And the conditions that rats love are overgrown areas and food. And that's what the railroad tracks provided. So under the tutelage of my mother, who always said, use your voice, got a petition going, got my neighbors to sign, and got the railroad to clean up those conditions. So it was a...
Nice.
It was anti-rat, but it was really more about neighborhood beautification.
I like that. Now, I referenced this earlier. So you're in charge of helping reduce the city's infestation of the rats.
Correct.
And gotta be bullet number 1 through 5 on the list is, hey, everybody, the way we do our garbage is crazy. Everybody, remember, hey, have you seen containers? What's between New York and what literally every other place does, which is put it into containers?
So the beauty of New York is our density. We're the densest city in the country, but also makes our waste collection very challenging. We're talking high rises, high volumes, no streetscape space for containers to work. The Department of Sanitation actually just put out a 100-page study for waste enthusiasts, all about the pathway to containerization, and we're already taking steps as a city to make that happen and take away rats' foods.
Yeah. No, and I don't want to play down what is obviously a very real and hard problem, but the path to garbage containers, the journey we're on, the 100 pages to, we got to get big metal things.
It's like the very hungry caterpillar. Each time he's taking a little bite, and at the end, it's the smorgasbord. You know, we have to take the steps we can take today to get the future we're looking for.
So, Alberta, Canada is apparently the largest inhabited area on Earth without rats. First question, what are they doing right? Follow-up, does hearing that make you want to drive there in the middle of the night and shake out a duffel full of rats? A little bit?
I harbor no ill will to Alberta or any other city that's making an impact on their rat population. What they have going for them is it's mostly rural. They also were able to, the way rats travel got to them much later in the history of humans, so they were able to set up a perimeter around the city, and they actually police the borders of Alberta for rats. That will be my next job.
Wow. In 2021, 311 received 3.2 million rat complaints. At what point are you like, shut up, I know, they're fucking everywhere. I'm working on it.
Keep calling if you see rats. We use it, we take action. I think the more victim of it as my wife gets now, everyone sends her videos of rats. So she's the personal victim of my new position.
And she's like, I married a teacher. Jokes aside, what are, short of a system of collecting garbage, that rivals any mid to large city on the planet of Earth, which is not your purview, by the way. I mean, it's something I'm sure you'd love to see it. You know, it's like kind of an up. You know, you're just sort of taking babies out of the river, and you're like, who's throwing these babies in here? But what are some of the things that you're doing? What? But what are some of the steps you're working on right now? Look, I can't say jokes aside again, because there's 7 more jokes coming. But I do think this is a story about like the hard daily grind of governing and trying to improve a very difficult problem. So what are some of the steps you're taking that you think are making a difference? And what will it look like for people to feel like New York City has finally got a handle on its, the Ratatouille situation?
Thanks, John. I think it really is, this work is about changing systems that have failed New Yorkers and other urban areas for a long time. Housing, sustainability, aging infrastructure, and those are Herculean tasks to change. Garbage is absolutely part of the conversation, but it's not the whole conversation. We want to make sure that those other areas addressed. Quality of life really improving for New Yorkers. Work very closely across Parks Department, Department of Health, Department of Education, New York City Schools, and NYCHA, how they're managing their spaces, which are a huge amount of the property in New York City, to make sure they're doing it right. And then really building bridges with communities to make sure property owners and renter New Yorkers like myself know what they can do to take action, because it really will take a village to make this change. And the most positive thing I've seen since being in the role, jokes aside, is that people really want to see this happen. And that's, I think, the shared vision, the immense pressure I feel to do it right for our city is because people really want to live in a world where the black bag, the rats aren't rustling, and you can walk down a street without getting a jump scare.
Why can't we live in harmony with the rats? You don't have to answer that. Guys, give it up for Kathleen. You can check out Kathleen's work by walking on the sidewalk and making it home. We'll be right back. Thank you so much.